I never thought, this is my first gig back post-surgery, so tonight I'll be struggling with both the comedy and the stand-up aspect. That should be exciting. I'll address the elephant in the room. No, I make a fat joke there, but I'll leave that one go. No, I had my hip replaced in October last year. My wife is 8.5 months pregnant, so it coincides with about that time. The amount of people that see me walking beside her on crutches or on the stick, perfectly pregnant, they're like, that must have been the root of a lifetime. The other awkward thing, for the first, 4 months or so post-surgery, I had to get around with a hemorrhoid cushion and a pair of crutches. The other people that looked at me were like, his hemorrhoids must be off the chain. But it's been pretty exciting. I've had some weird complications. At the moment, I suffer from a thing called lymphedema, which if you've ever been to Woy is everywhere. So effectively the tissue that they've taken out of my leg, my body tries to pump fluid into it, so I swell progressively the longer I stand. I'm doing my best impression of the Marshmallow Man from the Ghostbusters movies. Like, I've never looked enviously at a mobility scooter before in my life. But what I have to do in order to sort of minimise it, I wear a stocking. It goes up so high I can taste it. The last time I went to my GP, he went to check my tummy, so they had a wash instructions. When they fitted me for it, they were like, do you have any style options? And I said, yeah, red fishnet. But the other problem with it is the only way to sort of remedy it is massage. And the problem is where I get it. In the groin. I have exercised self-control of a Buddhist fucking monk. Because usually, quite an attractive physiotherapist I've got, and she's usually like, do you mind if the prac student sits in while we rub your groin? Sure. And then afterwards she's like, are you noticing any improvement? I'm like, my 13 times tables are fucking amazing. My other habit that I've sort of discovered since then, my favourite thing to do, even when I don't need to go to the bathroom, when I see a handicapped toilet's occupied, I stand outside looking sad and desperate. Just because inevitably there's that one person that's like, well, the handicapped toilet's not occupied, I'll go in there. That'll fuck with them. Oh dear. What else have I got? I've got heaps of shit. So in the last 8 months I've spent plenty of time at home. I've rediscovered pornography. Something has changed in pornography since I was last there. Since when did all of those fucking co-wrecks get into porn? Like these tiny, scarily thin women that look like they're sucking dick for the nutrition. Sorry for anybody that's eating during that. I spend a lot of time at home with my wife. By the way, I do like these coloured lights. It does, it should stop me shooting up heroin. But no, I was spending a lot of time at home with my wife, and my wife likes to bring me weird sort of questions. Like a couple of weeks ago, she came to me, she goes, gee, I wonder what it'd be like to be a Kardashian. So I fucked her in the ass and put the video on the net. You all for replies? So my wife's English. Is anybody here married to like a British expat? It is amazing marrying a British expat, like I have to say, because they're conditioned to expect disappointment. And I usually give her more than she can handle. But I've actually got Scottish heritage, so when I got married in a kilt for 2 reasons. One, for my Scottish heritage, and the other to keep the flies off the guests. I'll let you think about that for a second. So I used to live in Sydney before my wife and I moved up to the Central Coast, and it was a bit of an adjustment period. I think the hardest thing, discovering the awkward dead spot, the hardest thing was, I guess, the adjustment, because when you move from Newtown to just outside Woy, it kind of looks the same, but you've got to realise that most of the populace are dressed like that unironically. I had a really hard adjustment period, and I tried to do things to really help ease, like lubricate the transition. Like I went out and I got a new special edition version of Monopoly. Have you guys seen all the special edition versions of Monopoly that they've got? Like they've got Monopoly Sydney, Monopoly New York. The new one's Monopoly Gosford. It's very similar to the Monopoly Sydney, except the property prices are much lower. KFC is considered a utility. The little cars up on little bricks. You don't have to pass go to collect $200, you can wait a fortnight. That in the community chest is a 16-year-old girl named Sharon. Was sitting on the shelf directly next to the Central Coast version of Guess Who. It's called Guess Who Your Father Is. It's fucking hard. Thought very long and hard about getting the Vaucluse version of Operation, where you have to suck the fat out of a woman's ass and inject it into her tits and lips without touching the sides. Don't have the best fine motor skills. They did have an updated version of an absolute classic. They had a new version of chess. It's the Cronulla version of chess. Don't worry, they don't mess with it too much. It's still black versus white. There are just no rules. Right, some age group. You get a joke from 2005. Very well done. I currently work in the funeral industry. Is my day job. And it means being a stand-up comedian working in the funeral industry is a really terrible combination, so I've had to learn to keep my mouth shut. So, one of the first funerals I did when I came up, he was for a 33-year-old carpenter who happened to die on Good Friday. I was meeting with the family on the Saturday. And in the back of my head was just running, don't worry, this will all turn around really soon. There's a precedent for that. I did a funeral for a clown. I opened with, he leaves behind enormous shoes to fill. It is an odd one. Like, it's been up and down. Like, since the surgery, I haven't had too many funerals that I've done. Mostly because a lot of the funerals that I tended to get were motor vehicle accidents, and one of the directors was like, no, you look like you were in the car with him. We can't. But, you know, when business is slow, normally I just run through a nursing home with a cat gun, just to try to liven things up a bit. You seem to be enjoying that far too much. I can arrange a calendar, whatever nursing home, you're relative, you don't like it. Surprise party! Oh, it's terrible. I'm sorry. It's not the worst job I've had. Like, I've had some really shitty jobs. Like, I worked as a car salesman for years. And I found myself getting so depressed, I hooked a hose up to the exhaust pipe, I put it in through the driver's window, I started the ignition. 9 hours later, I realised the Prius was a shit choice. Also, working in the car industry meant that I was exposed to some of the biggest fuckwits on the planet. Like the amount of people that would pull in, and on the back of their car, they had one of those fuck off where full stickers on the back of the car. And I'm curious, I'm always looking for a laugh. I come up to them and say, why have you got that sticker on the back of your car? And they always said the exact same thing. Those people, they come over here, they don't learn the language, they don't learn the culture, and they don't assimilate. So, mate, if they don't learn the language, why do you get the sticker in English, dickhead? Probably the weirdest job I'd say I had was actually a combination of two jobs. To pay my way through university, I worked as a bouncer at night, kicking people out of pubs and clubs. And by day, I worked as a clown at kids' parties. And eventually, through sleep deprivation, you end up mixing shit up, but that's where things get real. Like, I learned drunks absolutely fucking love balloon. And children really don't like being punched in the face. My first job in high school, I worked at a pharmacy, helping them fill prescriptions and things like that. And the first little old lady that pissed me off, I put her arthritis medication in a childproof bottle. When I lived in Wagga, I got a job working in the Botanic Gardens. My job was tending the cactus garden. They fired me for showing initiative. I invited the local blind school for an Easter egg hunt. I didn't really. 2 blind schools. Alright, I'll finish up on this. I don't know how long I've been going. About that long. So in my time, I've done a lot of really weird things, but probably the weirdest thing that happened to me doing I was down in Melbourne for the Comedy Fest. This is going back a number of years, and I was down there with my then girlfriend at the time, and it just happened to be around my birthday. So she decided to give me a special birthday present early. She gave me chocolate body paint. Now, has anybody here used chocolate body paint or is sitting here recklessly thinking that that's a good idea? Yeah, don't do it. You think it's sexy now, but you've got to realise it leaves a mark on a bed sheet somewhat similar to diarrhea in an epileptic fit. So the next morning, she's decided to get up, get me a special birthday breakfast. I've decided to wash what looks like fecal matter off my body. I'm in the shower scrubbing away and I hear noises coming from the hotel room and I think, well, it's my birthday, we can skip foreplay. So I wrap the towel around my head and stand around my waist. I kick open the bathroom door going, I want to be in America. Everything free in America. I open my eyes to a Filipino man going, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I don't know what it is, but if you've ever been caught by housekeeping in a compromising position, you'll like walk across hot coals to prove that you're not that weirdo. So I go, no, come in, sorry, I thought you were somebody else, and put the towel around my head and around my waist rather, and then I realised that the room is strewn with empty bottles, and I'm thinking, she probably thinks I'm an alcoholic and a pervert. So I'm desperately trying to clean up the bottles in that tiny little bin they give you, and I wasn't paying attention because I should have realised that she had a fresh set of bed sheets over her shoulder. She's pulled back the dinner and gone, and you know that little voice in the back of your head that sounds like your mum? Quickly, do whatever you can to prove it's not shit. I made the wrong choice. I leapt at that bed sheet, eyes wide, feverish, tongue out. At which point she's discreetly vomited and left the room. So a couple of nights later I was doing a gig and I thought that story is too funny not to tell. So I was getting into it and there was a woman like second row back laughing so loud that nobody could hear me over the mic. I said, look madam, I've got to ask, before I go too far, what's the fucking story? You seem to be losing your shit. She's like, you don't understand, I work at Easy Stacey Kilder, you're the shit guy. Thank you very much.